where officials say the country's water reserves have dropped to their lowest level.
Rivalries, maybe? Today, we are focusing on another issue that is plaguing
Euphrates River, used to near Khaled Al-Hamis's farm.
This. Am I the only one that sees that? Is that a fallen angel right there?
The Euphrates River, the one that cradled the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia, is changing in ways nobody has ever seen before. In 2025, NASA satellite pictures showed Lake Tharthar hitting its lowest level since '92, and Al Jazeera reported that Iraq is going through its worst drought since 1933. That's left millions of folks with failed crops, no water, and just plain hopeless. But what's happening isn't only climate change. It feels like whispers coming up from deep in the earth, strange vibrations, telling us something big is getting close. And maybe, just maybe, this is the moment we have to look the truth right in the eye. Time is running out faster than we think. As the Euphrates keeps dropping, weird things are starting to show up. Tall columns of water shooting straight up from the riverbed. Huge, shadowy figures in the morning mist. Whole ancient cities suddenly appearing again, like they've been pulled back from the past. You might figure this is just internet rumors, but why is everything happening all at once? Right when the Bible said it would. Revelation 16:12 says the Euphrates will dry up to make a path for the kings from the east. Revelation 9:14-16 warns about 4 angels that are tied up under that river, waiting to be set free. Doesn't that give you chills? 2025 isn't just another year of drought, wars, and wild weather. It's the year all the prophecies seem to be lining up, where people, nature, and history are shouting the same warning together. In today's video, we're going to look real close at 7 scary things happening along the Euphrates and ask the big question, are these the end-time signs the Bible talked about? So stick around. You don't want to miss any of this. Right now, let's dive in together and check out the 7 unexplained, downright strange things that have been showing up on the Euphrates as the water keeps disappearing day by day. 1. The mighty Euphrates River is now just cracked, empty dirt. In 2025, the Euphrates, the river once called the breath of Mesopotamia, has hit the lowest, driest point ever recorded in history. According to CSIS and NASA, the water flow has dropped by 60%, turning a huge, proud river into nothing but patches of dry, cracked mud. Picture this. A river that used to feed millions of people is now just sun-baked streaks of earth that look like scars that'll never heal. This isn't a warning anymore. It's a wake-up call. It's not just nature doing this. Al Jazeera says 2025 is the driest year Iraq has seen since 1933. On top of that, Turkey's big dams, upriver dams, are holding back most of the water, so hardly anything reaches Syria and Iraq now. A report from World Weather Attribution says human activity has made droughts in the Middle East 25 times worse. And the scariest part? Everything is hitting at once, so fast that folks down there don't have time to react. Satellite pictures show something even harder to look at. The Euphrates doesn't even look like a river anymore. It's more like a giant mud ditch cutting through land that used to be green and rich. More than 46 million people in Syria and Iraq are hurting bad. Farmers are walking away from their fields because the wells are bone dry. Fish dead all over what's left of the water. And ancient cities suddenly showing up out of the riverbed, like the past is pushing up to remind us of something. If you've seen those videos of people walking across a river bottom that used to be 20 or 30 feet deep, you know how quiet and eerie it feels. But what really gives you chills isn't just the science, it's how perfectly this lines up with the Bible. Revelation 16:12 says, "The Euphrates River dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east." That's talking about the road to Armageddon. And Jeremiah 50:38 says about Old Babylon, "A drought will strike her waters, and they will dry up." When 2 different places in Scripture both point to the same river going dry, you can't just call it a coincidence. Sure, some folks will say, it's just climate cycles. IFL Science said the Euphrates might dry up by 2040 anyway. Okay, but the question isn't when science thought it would happen. It's why everything is slamming into place right now in 2025. At the same time as wars, disasters, and the world feeling like it's losing its moral compass. Science tells us how. The Bible tells us why. That's why we've got to look this straight in the eye. The Euphrates drying up isn't only an environmental disaster. It's a sign written down thousands of years ago. Like Matthew 24-37:3-9 warned, the end will come suddenly, just like in Noah's day, when people were still eating, drinking, getting married, and never saw the danger coming. The drying of the Euphrates is the loudest alarm bell yet that things are changing faster than we think. And honestly, this is only the first one. Keep watching, because what's coming next is even heavier. 2. Strange scene. River boiling and shooting water, straight up before drying out completely. The weird part is, right before the river drained almost dry, a lot of folks saw and recorded videos of these violent columns of water shooting straight up into the sky, like some invisible hand was pushing from down below. Videos that blew up all over Middle East. Social media in 2025 show water blasting several yards high, spinning into perfect circles, then exploding like a big drum. The scariest thing, no wind, no earthquake, no normal reason at all. You get the same creepy feeling I do? The more you watch, the more it feels like something that doesn't belong in our world. This was happening along many parts of the Euphrates River, close to places Syria had already reported oil spills and weak ground. But this time the water didn't seep or leak. It shot out hard and sudden, almost like a breath from something waking up under the riverbed. Local geologists tried to explain it as trapped methane gas or ground collapse, but when you look close at the videos, those water columns make perfect, smooth circles every single time. Nothing like the messy, random bursts you get from natural gas. And here's what really gives people chills. Right before each blast, there were deep, booming sounds coming from underground, like a muffled roar. People said the ground under their feet shook a little. Not a real earthquake, more like a vibration from way, way down. For a lot of folks, that didn't feel like plain old nature talking. It felt like a warning. The Bible actually talks about a moment just like this. In Revelation, page 214, verse 9-14 says, "Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." That word bound isn't just pretty talk. It means something powerful is being held back, waiting for the right moment to move, making the earth shake and the water act strange. A lot of Bible teachers say that kind of rising up is always tied to weird things happening in nature. So when water suddenly blasts out of the riverbed like the first breath after a long sleep, a lot of believers start asking, could this be the sign? It also brings to mind Exodus, page 56, verse 7-20. The water in the river was changed as a sign of coming judgment. In the Bible, calm water only turns violent when something has gone outside the natural order. These sudden columns of water, happening right when the Euphrates is at its lowest point ever recorded, make many people feel this isn't just chance. It's a strong but quiet reminder. Of course, plenty of folks are skeptical. Some say it's only geology, gas trapped underground, finally breaking free when the mud dries and cracks. That sounds reasonable. But if it's only geology, why does it keep happening on the exact river the Bible warned about? Why right now when the Euphrates is drier than ever? Why are the whirlpools perfectly round, like someone is shaping them? Science can explain how it works, but it can't explain why now or why here. That timing is what nobody can ignore. When you put all the pieces together, it really feels like the first breath from the deep, telling us the next chapter for mankind is starting. The Bible never said the end would begin with a huge crash. Most of the time, it starts with small tremors. And the Euphrates, in 2025, with water shooting up like warning signals, is turning into pretty clear proof that the last days aren't far off. I believe this isn't just a strange sight at the bottom of a river. It's a gentle push to turn back to God, to be humble, to repent, and to pray. Because when the ground under our feet starts to breathe, the best thing we can do is make sure our souls are ready. 3. Shadowy winged figures appearing in the mist along both banks of the river. When the Euphrates hit its lowest water level ever recorded, strange things started showing up in the morning fog. Hundreds of videos from Iraq and Syria in 2025 all caught the same thing. A huge winged figure standing perfectly still in the thick white mist, like a living statue. At first, folks thought it was just light playing tricks, but the more you watch, the more you realize, no, that ain't it. You get that same chill down your spine like I do? Like something on the other side of an invisible curtain is looking right back at you. Here's the thing. These figures only started showing up after the water dropped so low, it left deep black holes right in the middle of the riverbed. Old-timers who've lived their whole lives on those banks say they've never seen anything like it before. The shapes popped up in different spots. Didn't matter which way the sun was hitting. No wind. Nothing around that could cast a shadow like that. They'd appear, stand there a while, then just melt away like smoke, leaving nothing behind. Plenty of experts tried to figure it might be some kind of optical illusion, but the ones like the Brocken specter only happen when the person filming is standing higher than the shadow and the sun is behind them. In most of these videos, the folks are down on flat ground, even looking straight along the fog, so it can't be light bouncing around. And when the exact same tall winged shape keeps showing up in different places at the same time, well, that's way beyond normal. The Bible talks about beings that appear between heaven and earth when the barrier gets thin. Revelation, chapter 9, verses 1 through 11, describes things coming up out of the bottomless pit, looking something like locusts, but with the power of fallen angels. Not the bright shining kind, dark ones that had been locked away. When you put that description next to these misty figures on the Euphrates, a lot of folks get goosebumps. Tall, still, winged, then gone like smoke. Too close for comfort. Then there's Daniel, chapter 4, verse 13, talking about a watcher, a holy one, coming down from heaven. These watchers were the ones keeping an eye on mankind, showing themselves when big changes were coming. Seeing winged figures right when the river that plays such a big part in end-time prophecy runs dry? Well, a lot of believers figure the wall between our world and the spirit world is cracking. Of course, plenty of people still say, just an illusion. Videos are edited. Deepfakes. Fair enough. But when dozens of different people with old phones and security cameras all catch the same shape in the same stretch of river at the same moment the water hits bottom, the odds of every single one being fake are pretty much zero. This isn't random anymore. It's a sign. Put it all together. River dried up, ground shaking, water shooting up like geysers, and now these winged shadows in the fog, and you can't help but feel a chill. The veil between the spirit world and ours is getting real thin. This isn't just weird weather or tricks of the light. It feels like a wake-up call that the next chapter of God's plan is opening up right in front of us. These figures aren't here to scare us. They're here to remind us to get ready. Because when angels, or the ones who used to be angels, start stepping out of the morning mist, the day the Lord comes back is a whole lot closer than it used to be. Stay awake and keep your heart right. 4. The ancient city of Kimuhu and the sealed tunnel under the riverbed come to light. In 2025, when the water in the Euphrates River dropped to the lowest level ever recorded, something that had been sleeping deep underground suddenly saw daylight again. A 3,400-year-old city called Kimuhu rose up after thousands of years. Old clay tablets covered in ancient writing lay there clear as day under the hot sun. But what really took everybody's breath away was this. Right next to it, a tunnel sealed tight with huge stone slabs, like somebody long ago was dead set on keeping whatever was inside from ever getting out. The city and the tunnel weren't buried under sand. They were right under the river itself. When the water pulled back, foundations and old walls just showed up, like history decided to wake up on its own. The dust hadn't even settled yet, but Kimuhu got people's imaginations running wild. Did this place once hide something supernatural? Something the ancients didn't want anyone to know about? You could almost hear the echoes. Secrets, darkness, power buried deep. Some archaeologists say it's just a normal find. An old city, a lost civilization. Nothing strange about it turning up when the river runs dry. But if it's so ordinary, why did it happen right when the Euphrates hit its lowest point ever? And if it's just chance, why is that tunnel sealed so perfectly? Like it was meant to lock away something nobody was ever supposed to see. A lot of believers look at Kimuhu and remember what the Bible says in Genesis chapter 6, verse 4, about the days of the Nephilim, when giants were on the earth, mighty beings that were part God, part man. Then in Revelation chapter 9, verse 16, it talks about an army of 200 million that gets released from where they've been locked away in hidden pits and prisons. Could Kimuhu and that sealed tunnel be one of those prisons? Did these walls once hold back a forbidden power? An ancient plan mankind was never meant to know about? When you put it all together, the river drying up, the ground opening, the old city appearing, the sealed tunnel, it doesn't feel like just another dig. It feels like history waking up, like a message. Some secrets aren't meant to stay buried forever. Some warnings from the past we've forgotten. Some ancient powers just waiting for the right moment to come back. And maybe, just maybe, we're living in that moment right now. If you're feeling uneasy or doubtful, ask yourself this. Are you brave enough to look straight at things that have been locked away for thousands of years? Are you willing to admit the world might not be exactly what we've always thought? Because if Kimuhu is real, and that tunnel is real, then behind that darkness might be a door swinging open to something mankind has never wanted to face. Keep your heart open and your faith in the Bible strong, because sometimes the sleeping secrets are really the doorway to the truth. And Kimuhu, with its stone walls, clay tablets, and sealed tunnel, might just be the warning we're not supposed to ignore. 5. Discovering an ancient cave with strange prison-like structures and weird sounds. Every once in a while, something gets found that makes you stop dead in your tracks. Not because it's pretty, but because it gives you the creeps right down to your bones. And in 2025, when the Euphrates River dropped so low it set off every alarm bell, a whole chain of ancient caves suddenly showed up, like the ground itself opened its mouth to tell us something. Local folks said at first they only saw little cracks, but the closer they got, the clearer it became. Those weren't natural fissures. They were doorways into something that had been sealed shut for thousands and thousands of years. Early surveys dated the cave system anywhere from 4,000 to 10,000 years old. But what really shook the archaeologists and the locals wasn't the age. It was the creepy stuff inside. Deep holes chiseled into the rock for chains, rusty metal rings still stuck in the walls, grooves worn smooth like something had been tied up there for centuries. Deep inside was one sealed room that looked exactly like a jail cell, too perfect to be just a regular living space. Try to picture it. Who needs chains and shackles in an ancient cave? And what exactly were they chaining up? Things got really spooky when the sound started. Plenty of witnesses say they heard low moans, soft tapping, or heavy, muffled breathing coming from behind solid rock walls. Not wind, not animals. The noises followed a pattern, almost like something was trying to talk, or trying to get out. One guy filming was shaking so bad the whole video wobbles. It's right behind the wall, and it knows we're here. Sounds crazy, sure, but dozens of people heard the same thing day after day. When scholars compared notes, a lot of Bible experts immediately thought of the book of Enoch, chapter 10, verses 4 through 6, where the fallen watchers are locked away in darkness under the earth. And 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 4, says plainly that angels who sinned were thrown into gloomy dungeons and chained up until judgment day. Could this cave be one of those prisons the old texts talk about? The chain holes, the sealed cell, the strange noises, everything lines up in a way that's hard to brush off. Of course, plenty of folks say it's just wind whistling through cracks or wild animals. But sound experts who studied the recording say the noises have rhythm and structure, nothing like any known natural sound. And here's the kicker. Why did it only start when the Euphrates dried up enough to uncover the whole system? Why right now, in 2025, when so many prophetic signs seem to be piling up? If the hair on the back of your neck is standing up, you're not alone. A lot of us feel this isn't just another random discovery anymore. It feels like a wake-up call, like ancient powers that were locked away long ago are stirring. The wall between what we can see and what we can't is getting thinner by the day, and maybe the Lord is trying to get our attention before it's too late. So while those strange echoes keep coming up from deep underground, the message stays the same. Don't look for answers in fear. Look for them in God. Because when darkness starts to rise, faith is the only thing that'll keep us standing. 6. The strange red eye in the sky, looking down on the Euphrates River. There are moments so hard to believe that you start doubting your own eyes, and this is one of them. It wasn't a natural disaster, it wasn't a mirage. It was something that felt like a gaze watching mankind from above. It all started on a still, windless night along the banks of the Euphrates, a river that's drying up and showing its rocky bottom here in 2025. A small group of local folks looked up and saw two glowing red spots hanging in the pitch-black sky. At first they figured it was just airplanes, but the dead silence all around told them different. Those lights didn't stay still. They pulsed slow and steady, like the heartbeat of something alive that was studying us. Every time the red glow grew bigger and then shrank back, the shallow water at their feet seemed to tremble for a split second. No sound, no wind, just that red stare quietly following them. The people who saw it up close said it felt like being scanned by something that could see right through you. They didn't hear a thing, yet every single one talked about the same heavy, uneasy feeling rising in their chest, like standing in front of a judgment you can't run from. Strange part was how the light never moved like a plane or drone. It just stayed there, on purpose. Once the video hit the internet, the usual doubters jumped in fast. Some said satellite, some said Mars. A few swore it was military flares. But when people checked the satellite tracks, radar logs, and star charts, nothing lined up. Whatever it was, it didn't match anything we've built or anything we know about the sky. That's when a lot of Bible readers went back to Scripture and got chills. Revelation 1:14 talks about the Lord's eyes being like blazing fire, and Proverbs 15:3 says, "The eyes of the Lord are everywhere, watching the good and the evil." And now, right when the Euphrates, the river tied to so many end-time prophecies, is drying up, this red eye shows up. Hard to call that a coincidence. Some folks insist it's just a rare weather thing, an atmospheric trick. Okay, but if it's only nature, why did it appear in exactly the right place, at exactly the right time, in exactly the setting the Bible talked about thousands of years ago? And if it's just a light in the sky, why did every witness feel the same shiver, like they were being seen clear down to the bone? These days, we try to explain everything with science, but every once in a while, something stops us cold and makes us wonder, is heaven trying to tell us something? Could this be a wake-up call before the final judgment? A reminder that we're not alone, and every single thing we do is seen by the Most High? Believe it or not, that red eye in the sky is still out there like a sign nobody can ignore. And as the old prophecies keep lining up with what we're seeing today, the real question isn't, what was that thing? It's, are we ready? 7. A whole herd of buffalo suddenly took off running like they were trying to get away from something. Have you ever seen a big bunch of animals panic and run for their lives all at once? If not, you're about to see it right now. What happened up in those mountains near the drying up river in 2025 was way beyond anything normal. It wasn't just survival instinct. It felt more like nature itself was trying to warn us. The local folks said they heard a loud rumbling from far off before they even saw anything. When they got to the edge of the hill, there were hundreds of buffalo charging like something invisible was chasing them. No earthquake, no predators around, no loud explosions, nothing that should have scared them that bad. The lead bulls didn't even stop to sniff the air or look around. They just ran, straight down into the valleys, and then circled back with the herd, eyes wide open and on high alert like you wouldn't believe. The ones in the back were crashing into rocks and trees and didn't even slow down. It was like every single one of them got the same signal at the exact same moment, a signal we humans couldn't hear. The wildlife experts came quick, but nobody could figure it out. No predator tracks, no earthquakes, no sudden temperature drop. A whole herd stampeding like that usually only happens when there's a really big threat. But here, the threat was completely invisible. Some people shrugged and said it was just random animal behavior. But here's the scary part. The buffalo started running right when a bunch of other strange signs showed up around that same drying river. When animals, the creatures most in tune with nature, all freak out at the exact same time the sky and the ground start acting weird, can we really just call it a coincidence? The Bible talked about this a long time ago, a time when the whole creation has been groaning. Romans 8:22. Nature doesn't just sit there, it feels things, and sometimes it tries to warn us before we figure it out ourselves. Luke 21:25 talks about signs in the sun, moon, and stars before the end comes. So was that herd just having a bad day, or was creation itself trying to tell us something? The people who saw it said the whole mountain felt restless. There was just a light breeze and a clear sky, but the air felt heavy, like something big was coming. The one thing everybody knew for sure, those buffalo weren't running for no reason. They were running from something us humans hadn't noticed yet. While we're busy trying to explain it away, the animals probably understand a lot better than we do. And if even they have to run for it, then we, with our souls and our responsibility to our Creator, better wake up fast. Sometimes the first warning doesn't come from people. It comes from the creatures that live closest to the earth and the sky. It's hard to look at the world in 2025 without feeling some invisible clock ticking louder on all of us. What's happening with the Euphrates River isn't just about nature. It's running right alongside the slow rot we're seeing everywhere. Reports about religious violence, people getting hated on, or worse for leaving their faith in Sudan, Humanists International, or religion getting twisted more and more into politics, BBC. Those are just the surface of something eating away inside. Sociologists are warning about a kind of cold-hearted division we've never seen before, Wahachi MC, where folks are losing whatever mercy they had left and turning mean without even blinking. It feels exactly like what it says in 2 Timothy 3, verses 1 through 5. People loving themselves, proud, ungrateful, with no morals. And now those old words are jumping off the page and walking around in real life. You turn on the news any day, and there it is. War getting worse in Ukraine. Fighting flaring up again and again in the Middle East. Hate exploding all over social media. Church membership is dropping all over the world. So apostasy, walking away from the faith, isn't just a fancy word anymore. It's happening. And the scariest part, most people don't even feel bad about it anymore. Like the world's conscience is going dark. The Euphrates drying up isn't only a map thing, it's a mirror showing how dried up we've gotten on the inside too. Matthew 24, verse 12 hits hard. Because evil keeps growing, the love of most people will grow cold. Look around, broken families, everybody numb to everybody else. And it feels like that prophecy is playing on live TV. These signs aren't just up in the sky or down in the ground. They're running straight through the neighborhoods we live in. We've pushed God out of the center of everything. And when you turn off the light, darkness moves right in. All these wars, the hatred, the worldwide mess of right and wrong. It's not random. It's the exact stage the Bible calls the last days. The question isn't, is this real anymore? It's how much time do we have left before everything that was warned about actually shows up for good? Because when nature, society, and people's hearts are all changing at once exactly the way Scripture said they would thousands of years ago, we're probably not just watching the prophecy anymore, we're living right in the middle of it. When we look back at everything that's happening right now, from the Euphrates River drying up so low you can see the bottom, to the strange things showing up along its banks, and the way decency seems to be slipping away all around us. It's clear these aren't just random events. They're pieces of a puzzle slowly coming together into one big picture. A picture the Bible talked about a long, long time ago. The last days won't come with a loud thunderclap. They'll come with a bunch of quiet signs scattered here and there that finally add up to a warning nobody can ignore. And as those pieces keep fitting together more and more, we can't just stand there, shrug, and look the other way. This isn't the time to act like nothing's going on. This is the time to slow down, get quiet, and ask ourselves, where do we stand with the Lord right now? The river running dry, nature acting up, all the mess and confusion in the world. It's pushing every one of us toward a crossroads where we've got to take a good look at ourselves and turn toward the real light. The Bible tells us in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 2 and 3, that the day the Lord comes back will be like a thief in the night. People will be saying, "Oh, everything's fine. We're safe," and then sudden disaster will hit. That's not meant to scare us. It's meant to wake us up, because God doesn't want a single person to be lost. He wants everyone to have the chance to wake up, say they're sorry, and come home to Him. So if you're reading this, take it as a gentle but urgent invitation. Get back into your Bible. Put your trust in Him. Pray every single day so your heart doesn't get dragged down by all the darkness out there. Don't let busy schedules, discouraging news, or little temptations pull you away from the life that lasts forever. Be one of the lights, not with big loud words, but with small, honest actions that spread kindness and mercy to every person you meet. And right in the middle of all the shaking going on, never forget, the Bible doesn't end with fear. It ends with hope. Revelation 21 verse 4 says God Himself will wipe away every tear. And in the new heaven and new earth, there'll be no more death, no more crying, no more pain. That's not a fairy tale. That's a promise from the one who made everything. These last days aren't the end of the story. They're the beginning of forever, where light wins completely. So just for this moment, open your heart. If you feel like it, drop a short prayer in the comments for yourself, your family, or this hurting world. Or just tell us what you think. Do you see all these signs adding up and believe we're getting close to the end? Or do you think it's just coincidence? If these words touched you at all, I'd be grateful if you'd like, share, and subscribe so we can keep walking this road together, looking at the prophecies, remembering the warnings, and holding on to the hope of His coming. Every time you share, you might be the one God uses to help somebody else find the light. And sometimes, one quiet reminder is all it takes to change a person's whole life. May the Lord's peace settle deep in your heart tonight. Lord, open our eyes to see, open our ears to hear, and open our hearts to come back to You. Amen.
We'll all see the building of the third temple in Jerusalem.
Senate just months before, I recognized Jerusalem as the capital.
Attracted global attention. Well, today, those cows are in ancient Shiloh.
City. It is forever our city. It will never be divided again.
Argument that it was somewhere else like the city of David, and that this was the Antonia fortress. This is...
It's an honor to be here with the first Jewish president of the United States.
Jerusalem is stirring. The Temple Mount, the holiest place on earth, is sending out signals the Bible talked about thousands of years ago. This isn't just regular archaeology or politics anymore. These are signs, and they're happening right now. Have you noticed? Everything tied to the Temple Mount in the last few years feels like pieces of a prophecy puzzle falling into place. From finding that perfect red heifer to mysterious tunnels being dug under the ancient foundations, it's all pointing to one thing. The third temple is about to be rebuilt. Revelation 11 warns about a temple that will be measured right in the middle of chaos. 2 Thessalonians 2 says the Antichrist will sit in that very temple and claim he's God. If that happens, you know what's next. The end times, the tribulation, 7 years that will change everything for the whole world. And here's the scary part. The year 2025, the one we're living in right now, lines up with timelines prophecy scholars have been talking about for years. Israel, that fig tree in Matthew 24, is budding, the world is shaking, and everything is running right on the Bible's schedule. Lately, a lot of folks say they've been feeling something strange. Do you feel it too? Like time is speeding up, one big event piling on top of another, and we're getting real close to the moment everything changes. And the wild thing is, the second that first stone of the third temple gets laid, mankind officially steps into the last days, and that moment might be a lot closer than you think. So come with me, and let's look closer at how the Bible warned us about this very thing thousands of years ago. Don't miss a single detail. You ready to dig in with me? I can hardly wait another second. Let's get started. First, we're going to look into this huge ritual that's the very first step, kicking off a whole chain of prophetic events. It's the red heifer ceremony. And it'll answer the question, why did these perfect red heifers that Israel spent years searching for show up right now, of all times? For over 2,000 years, an entire nation has been desperately looking for something that seemed impossible. A completely perfect red heifer. Not one white hair, not one scratch, never had a yoke on her, not a single thing wrong. To a lot of folks, this sounds like some old legend. But in the Bible, it's the one thing you absolutely need to restart worship in the temple, a door that's been slammed shut since 70 AD and hasn't opened once since then. And now, right in the middle of the craziest time the world's ever seen, the impossible happens. They found 5 perfect red heifers. And it happened in 2025. You think that's just a coincidence? Me? I don't think so. Feels a whole lot like everything's been planned for a real long time, like a puzzle piece sliding into place exactly when it's supposed to, as this whole prophetic picture starts coming clear. In Numbers 19, verses 2 through 3, the Lord told Moses, "This is the ordinance of the law which the Lord has commanded. Tell the children of Israel to bring you a red heifer without blemish, in which there is no defect, and on which a yoke has never been laid." The ashes from that ceremony, mixed with water, were used to cleanse anyone who'd been around death, something the priests, the Kohanim, have to serve in the temple. No ashes, no temple, no sacrifices, no ceremonies, no worship the way God laid it out. You see how scary that is? One little ritual, but it's the key that turns the whole system on. For 2,000 years, not a single one qualified. Not one. That made building the third temple pretty much impossible. But then in 2022, 5 red heifers were flown in from Texas to Israel, watched like hawks by the Temple Institute, the Jewish group that spent decades getting ready to rebuild the temple. Israel 365 News reported that all 5 passed every single inspection. But by August 2025, they got disqualified because of a few white hairs. Just one hair is all it takes to ruin the whole thing. Doesn't it feel almost on purpose? But here's the really chilling part. They haven't slowed down one bit. In July 2025, they held a full rehearsal of the red heifer burning on the Mount of Olives, right across from the Temple Mount. The practice run got stopped because of 2 black hairs. But that event showed one thing loud and clear. They're ready. By October-November 2025, the Temple Institute and the Sanhedrin officially announced 4 new candidates are being watched up in Shiloh. The priests are still training with fake ashes from the rehearsal, and the earliest the real ceremony could happen is spring 2026, if the heifers qualify. Charisma magazine said it plain. This is the first time in 2,000 years we have real candidates. This isn't just wishful thinking anymore. This is preparation. When you line it up with the Bible, this fulfills Numbers 19 completely, but it also opens the door to the promise in Ezekiel 36, 24 through 27, where God says he'll cleanse his people and restore the temple. In prophecy, the red heifer ashes are the trigger that starts the whole chain in Daniel 9:27. The Antichrist makes a 7-year covenant, lets the sacrifices start again, then stops them halfway through and causes the sacrifice and oblation to cease. And then 2 Thessalonians 2:4 says that man sits in the temple of God, showing himself that He is God. All the pieces are clicking into place. And it's happening so fast, it gives you chills. On social media, prophecy watchers like Mystery Scansp 1 are posting, Red Heifer Ceremony Update 2025. We have the ashes. Half the world is excited. The other half is terrified. So where are you? Which side are you on? The Red Heifer story isn't just about some weird old ritual. It's proving something way scarier. History isn't random. It's following the Bible, word for word. And if these heifers really do qualify next year, you and I might be the generation that sees something mankind has waited for and dreaded for over 2,000 years. The last days beginning. So when those first bricks get laid down, what's going to happen? Do you see it? A picture that's been sketched out for ages is slowly coming into focus. If the red heifer is the final key to purification, then that first stone is the foot on the gas pedal that kicks off the whole rebuilding process, not with hammers and concrete, but with mindset, symbols, and the quiet shifting of people's hearts. Back in October 2025, something that looked like a small thing suddenly rang a big alarm bell. A new road sign popped up near Mitzpe Jericho, pointing to House of the Lord, May be Assis. At first glance, it looked exactly like an official government sign. Clean, professional, in the right spot. But it was put up guerrilla style by activist groups. And here's the kicker. It wasn't the only one. In just a few weeks, dozens of the same signs went up all over Jerusalem. They didn't even try to hide what they were about. Some even used straight Bible language like Beit Hashem. According to JNS.org, this wasn't just whispers in fringe groups anymore. It turned into loud, bold public statements. Locals, tourists, the media, everybody saw them. And that's the turning point, when an idea that used to freak people out starts feeling normal. More signs kept coming, like someone was deliberately clearing the path. Giant murals of the Third Temple started showing up on the walls of Jerusalem's old city, hitting everybody right in the eyes and the imagination. Temple flags started flying from rooftops, flapping in the wind like they're saying, "It's time." Then, the Temple Institute opened its big new visitors center, not some little exhibit, but a full-blown place with a 1:5 scale model of the temple built exactly to Bible and rabbinic specs. You don't just look, you walk through, you feel it, you start picturing it, and you get used to the idea that a third temple is coming, like it's inevitable. But the real jolt came from the numbers. The group Be'adenu says close to 70,000 Jews went up to the Temple Mount in the Hebrew year 5,785. That's a 22% jump from the year before. Modern-day record, and it's not random. Just in the month of Tishrei alone, there were 9,500 visits, up more than 55%. On Tisha B'Av, over 4,000 went up, and leading the pack was National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir. First time in decades, a high-ranking official not only went up, but prayed openly. Technically, that breaks the status quo, but they let it slide. Bend the rule once, it gets bent again and again, until the old rule is gone. The Temple Institute has been ready for years. They've made 12 full sets of priestly garments, tunics, ephods, breastplates, exactly like Exodus 28 says. Gold and silver instruments, trumpets, censers, shovels, all finished. The first solid gold menorah in 2,000 years, made with a huge amount of pure gold, Torah perfect. They've got complete architectural plans blending modern engineering with every Bible requirement, and they've been training over 500 Kohanim since 2018. They say if they get the green light, they could build the temple in about 3.5 years. Charisma magazine put it this way: 70,000 visits means the prophetic clock is ticking. You can't brush this stuff off, because it lines up in a scary way with what Jesus said in Matthew 24-32, 3-4. Learn the lesson from the fig tree. When you see all these things, know that he is near, right at the door. Israel is that fig tree, and it's putting out new leaves. Those signs, those flags, those skyrocketing numbers, They're the tender shoots he was talking about, telling us this generation might be the one that sees the third temple. And once the temple is there, what comes next? The Bible doesn't leave blanks. 2 Thessalonians 2-4 says the Antichrist will oppose and exalt himself so that he sets himself up in God's temple, proclaiming himself to be God. As 17. Revelation 11-1 talks about measuring the temple, marking the return of Jewish worship right before the abomination hits. Everything is sliding right onto the tracks of prophecy. On X, an account called Nora8655 posted something that gave a lot of folks chills. Jesus is flipping the final switch before he comes back. The cornerstone is ready. Believe it or not, that one line captures the mood. The world is being prepped, heart and mind. When hearts are ready, a great peacemaker, a global leader who brings peace, will be welcomed with open arms. That's exactly how the Antichrist steps onto the stage. Not with tanks, but with cheers. What's happening isn't loud or flashy. No signs in the sky or huge wars stealing the headlines. But the quiet stuff is the most dangerous. That first stone isn't a chunk of rock. It's the slow reshaping of what people think is normal. And when the world starts shrugging and saying, yeah, a third temple makes sense, you'll know. Matthew 24 is unfolding layer by layer, and we're standing square in the middle of it. And God's plan has never missed a beat. And from there, a whole lot of puzzle pieces started showing up and fitting together to make one complete picture. The most special, and the one that really stands out, had been hidden under dust and sand for years and years, just waiting for its moment to come out. What you're about to watch is going to shock you, because everything lines up in a way that's almost too perfect to believe. Just recently, experts dug up a mysterious tunnel deep underground, right underneath the Temple Mount. It really feels like we don't have much time left. The space under the Temple Mount has never been quiet. For hundreds of years, people have known about all the passages, caves, and underground structures down there, like a whole network of veins. But only when modern excavation started did the truth begin to come out. And it's not gentle. Take the Western Wall tunnel back in '96. When they peeled away the dirt, 488 meters of Herod's Wall showed up, stretching off into the darkness, like the Second Temple never really went away. Folks walked in there with flashlights and came out feeling like they'd just touched the heartbeat of the past. Then there's the Hasmonean Tunnel that runs straight to the Via Dolorosa. They didn't just find old buildings. They found a Roman theater, ritual steps, ritual baths, proof this place used to be the religious, political, and social center, all buried deep. The things that got buried never really died. They were just sleeping, waiting for the right time to wake up. The real shocker came with the Temple Mount Sifting Project, when the Muslim Waqf hauled away thousands of tons of dirt and rock without any archaeologists looking. A team picked it all up, sifted through it handful by handful, and found things that blew everybody away. Seals, pottery pieces, column tops, stamps from the actual First Temple period. Every little artifact says the same thing. This isn't just a symbol. It's living proof that Israel worshipped God right here. But all that was just the past. The real storm started in October 2025. Get yourself ready, okay? On October 23rd, 2025, the Palestinian governor of Jerusalem warned everybody that part of Al-Aqsa might collapse. They said it's because of Israel's tunneling work south and west of the Temple Mount. Tunnels, 12 to 14 meters deep, had supposedly created dangerous, empty spaces right under the Islamic building's foundations. Local news said houses in Silwan were starting to crack. Advisor Maruf al-Rifai came right out and said, Israel is weakening Al-Aqsa on purpose so it falls. Al Jazeera ran the story, and the whole Middle East lit up with arguments. Israel fired back right away. This is legal archaeology. It's not hurting anything. But history shows that the second somebody mentions Al-Aqsa, things can turn violent in just a few hours. The ground under the Temple Mount might be shaking a little, but the ground up top shakes a whole lot harder. And it didn't stop there. In September 2025, a YouTube video suddenly went viral showing some explorers finding a huge stone door, supposed to be from the first temple, deep inside the drainage system. It got over 100,000 views in just days. A lot of folks believe that's the long-lost entrance to the place where the Talmud says the Ark of the Covenant is hidden. Back in '81, a team tried digging for the Ark, but riots broke out and it all got shut down. Now the same story is back, right when the world is most on edge. WAFA reported that tunnels, like the Jabana Market, are being turned into new tourist routes that take people underground to discover temple history. It's too plain. Palestinians see that as a threat to Al-Aqsa's foundations. The Al-Quds International Institution says that as of 2025, there are 64 tunnels either dug or believed to exist. That number isn't just statistics, it's a match waiting to light the fire. All of this raises one chilling question. Are these tunnels leading us straight into the scenario Ezekiel 38 and 39 talked about? Ezekiel prophesied an end times war, Gog and Magog, when a huge coalition marches against Israel. God doesn't let his people get wiped out. He destroys the enemy with stones, fire, and burning sulfur. A battle that doesn't just take out armies. It could shake the ground itself and change the whole landscape. In that kind of chaos, the Temple Mount, with its already weak web of tunnels, could easily get badly damaged. And once the old structures come down, a new chapter can begin. Zechariah 14:4 describes the day of the Lord. The Mount of Olives will split in two, making a huge valley. If that really happens, Jerusalem's geography could change forever. When a divine earthquake splits a mountain in half, who's to say the tunnels under the Temple Mount won't get pulled apart too? One crack in just the right spot could make Al-Aqsa wobble, take down part of it, or open up enough space to rebuild. This isn't some natural disaster, it's prophecy. On X, an account named H. Van Harper suddenly posted on several Christian forums. These tunnels might lead to the Ark of the Covenant, but they might also be the sign of coming war. That one line gave a lot of people chills, because if the Ark really is down there, digging it up wouldn't just be archaeology. It would set off the biggest political religious explosion ever. These tunnels aren't just uncovering the past, they're digging straight into the prophesied future. Every discovery, every crack, every viral video pushes the tension up another notch and moves the whole region closer to a battle written about over 2,500 years ago. Every meter of dirt they remove peels away another layer of peace from Jerusalem. The question now is, are you, me, all of us, truly ready and equipped for the wild, stormy future that's coming? But if you thought those tunnels under the Temple Mount were already mind-blowing, just wait till the next door swings open. A door that's not underground at all, but smack in the middle of the most powerful place on earth. Because right there in the White House, under the bright lights and the usual questions, something happened that ties archaeology, politics, and prophecy together in a way nobody saw coming. And trust me, once you hear the question that got asked that day, you'll see why the big picture is suddenly coming into focus like never before. Let's start with October 23rd, 2025, a day when the whole White House briefing room went dead quiet over one single question. At first, everything was normal, like any other day. Questions about the budget, foreign policy, national security. Then reporter Jake Turks stood up, adjusted his mic, and dropped the one question nobody had ever dared ask out loud in an official White House press conference in all of American history. Does the administration have any plans to rebuild the Third Temple in Jerusalem? The room froze. You could feel the air get heavy. A few people looked at each other like Turks had just kicked open the most forbidden door in modern politics. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt looked straight at him for maybe 1 second, then answered real slow. That is not a topic of discussion for this administration. Short answer, but it lit a fire around the world. See the strange part? The very act of refusing to answer is what pushed the Third Temple idea from something totally off limits into serious political conversation. Do you think Turks was just joking around? Or was that question the opening shot of a whole new chapter in history? Because the moment the clip hit social media, millions of people saw it as proof that the line between politics and prophecy is disappearing faster than ever. From the articles you sent, this was the first time ever in U.S. history that the Third Temple was asked about directly inside the White House. Normally, even mentioning it at religious conferences starts arguments. Now it shows up at the very center of world power. That didn't just shock the media. It got Bible scholars, pastors, evangelists, and religious groups in Israel jumping into action. What makes the whole thing even more intense is the guy working behind the scenes, Donald Trump. A lot of folks don't like him. A lot of folks love him. But nobody can deny one thing. Trump did things in Jerusalem nobody else ever had. He moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, recognized the Golan Heights, and called Jerusalem the eternal capital. Stuff that used to be only in prophecy books, he turned into real life with his pen. Vin News quoted Turks comparing Trump to King Cyrus in Ezra 1 verse 2, the guy seen as anointed by God to let the Jews rebuild the Second Temple. What do you think? Is that just talk? Or does it feel like history repeating itself? Because if Cyrus paved the way for the Second Temple, Trump's huge support for Israel has a lot of people asking, could he be the one laying the groundwork for the third? Then things get even more serious when you connect it to Daniel 9:27, the prophecy about a leader who confirms a covenant with many for 1 week, meaning 7 years, and allows sacrifices in the temple again. A lot of Bible teachers believe that's the setup for the Antichrist to show up. So let me ask you straight. When American politics starts touching the temple story, when Trump gets compared to Cyrus, when the Third Temple question gets asked right inside the White House, is all this just coincidence? Or are we watching the stage being set for something a whole lot bigger? Politics is melting into prophecy. The White House is turning into the center of a story way bigger than any one country. And the Third Temple question isn't just for Jewish rabbis anymore. It's part of worldwide political talk now. From that White House briefing room all the way back to the ancient pages of Scripture, an invisible thread is tying together things a lot of folks thought would never meet. Here's the truth that anyone following this story has to admit. The deeper we look into the picture, the clearer it becomes that every layer of history, geopolitics, and prophecy is all coming together at one single point, and that point is the Temple Mount. You'll see right away why this place has become the biggest knot in the whole end times program. The Temple Mount, or Har Habayit in Hebrew, stopped being just a piece of land a long time ago. It's the very heart of Judaism, the spot where Abraham raised the knife over Isaac because God told him to, Genesis 22, where King Solomon built the first temple with the glory cloud filling it, where the Second Temple stood until the Romans tore it down in 70 AD. Every stone here is soaked in legend, history, blood, tears, and prophecies that haven't finished yet. Today, the same area is Al-Haram al-Sharif to Muslims, home to two holy buildings, the Dome of the Rock, built in 691, sitting exactly where the Holy of Holies used to be, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, built around 705, the place where Muslims believe Muhammad rose to heaven on his night journey. That's why even moving one single brick would feel like the worst insult possible to 1.8 billion Muslims around the world. It's the reason Israel keeps the status quo and won't let Jews pray on their own holiest site. But the Bible is crystal clear. In the last days, a Jewish temple is coming back. The Antichrist will sit in the temple of God, 2 Thessalonians 2-4, and the sacrifices will start up again and then get stopped right in the middle of the 7 years, Daniel 9:27. That creates a huge problem. The temple has to be there, but the Dome of the Rock is parked right on top of the old Holy of Holies. So what on earth is going to happen? And how? That's the question scholars, theologians, and Middle East security people have been arguing about for decades. And as we get closer to 2026, some of these ideas don't sound nearly as far-fetched as they used to. If you've been watching the signs, you can see the pieces fitting together in ways that catch you off guard. The first idea people have talked about for years is a natural disaster. It's no accident that Zechariah 14:4 says, plain as day, that the Mount of Olives will split in two on the day of the Lord and make a huge valley. Jerusalem sits right on top of the giant Syria-Africa rift that runs from Turkey all the way to Mozambique. One big earthquake could crack things open or even take down the Dome of the Rock without a single human hand touching it. A lot of Bible teachers call this the least warlike way, but the most theological way. The second scenario is darker. The Gog-Magog war in Ezekiel 38 and 39. A northern coalition attacks Israel, and God answers with stones, fire, and burning sulfur from heaven. A war like that would turn the whole Temple Mount area into ground zero and clear the way for rebuilding without the Muslim world being able to point the finger straight at Israel. Some folks on X have even said, if something happens to the dome, only a huge war would cover up who's responsible. The third scenario is diplomacy, and this is where the Antichrist steps onto the stage. Daniel 9:27 talks about a guy who makes a firm covenant with many for 1 week. That's 7 years. A big international peace deal signed by someone with extraordinary power could let the Jews rebuild the temple, or at least share the space. Sounds crazy, but Middle East politics has seen crazier things. The fourth idea is sharing the area. Build a new Jewish temple right next to the Dome of the Rock. The Temple Mount is 35 acres, plenty of room for both to stand side by side. That fits Revelation 11:1-2, where the outer court is given to the Gentiles, meaning the Jewish temple wouldn't take the whole place. A lot of scholars think this is the only diplomatic way that wouldn't start a worldwide religious war. But everything that happened in 2025 has made this feel a lot more urgent. According to Focus on Africa on October 26th, warnings about Al-Aqsa collapsing have gotten louder after new cracks showed up underground from all the tunneling. And experts are really worried an architectural accident could happen anytime. If something like that does happen, it would set off a chain reaction nobody could stop. The scary part is this: no matter whether it's natural or man-made, the Muslim world will blame Israel first, every single time. One little explosion at Al-Aqsa and the whole Middle East could go up in flames in a matter of hours. But here's the key thing. The Bible says, plain and simple, that somehow, some way, the Dome of the Rock obstacle is going to be moved or taken out of the picture, because the end times temple is definitely coming. That means what we're watching right now isn't random. It's the first quiet, but very real steps towards something enormous. A lot of experts say the Dome of the Rock has never been this fragile in modern history. The controversial tunnels underneath, the alarming cracks, the constant war threats between the different groups, and the political signals pushing Jerusalem right into the storm's eye. One interesting thing, more and more young Jewish people are posting videos on X saying they just feel the new temple is about to show up, not with fancy arguments, just a gut feeling that's hard to explain, like the time has come. Believe it or not, that shared feeling is spreading and creating a wave as strong as any political event. In the end, what makes this whole layer so frightening is that it's not just describing today, it's telling us tomorrow. The Dome of the Rock isn't just a symbol or a roadblock, it's a warning that when it moves, the whole world moves with it. And whether the path there is earthquake, war, or diplomacy, the Bible has already written the final outcome. You're looking at a piece of the puzzle that, if it shifts, won't just shake the Middle East, it'll shake the planet. And more important, it signals that thousand-year-old prophecies are heading straight into their final chapter. Looking at the whole story we've just walked through, these 5 layers of events, from the red heifer, what's happening in the Middle East, the things shaking around the Temple Mount, all the way to what's going on with the Dome of the Rock, they're not just random pieces anymore. They're coming together into one big warning. It's like history is whispering to us, reminding us that everything the Bible said would happen is starting to show up right now, in our own time, on what seem like perfectly ordinary days. And right in this moment, Jesus' words in Matthew 24-42 ring out louder than ever. So stay awake, because you don't know what day your Lord is coming. We're not being told to be afraid. We're being told to open our eyes, not to hide, but to stay alert to what's really going on. These things aren't meant to scare us into a panic. They're meant to wake up hearts that tend to fall asleep in the middle of everyday life. Because when the time of great trouble comes, that's not the end. That's the beginning of God's forever kingdom, where justice, peace, and His light will rule forever. So this is the time for every one of us to turn back to Him, say we're sorry, and put our trust in the only Savior, Jesus Christ. If something inside you is stirring right now, know that this is God knocking on the door of your heart. Pray for yourself to have clear eyes, for your family to be kept safe, and for this confused world to find its way back to the truth. Even a short, honest prayer can open a door you never saw before. And sometimes your own honest heart becomes the light that helps someone else wake up in the growing darkness. What do you see? What do you feel? Do you take this as a warning or as God's gentle reminder to His people? Or if you'd like, leave a short prayer here for yourself, for our country, or for the whole world. You never know whose heart it might touch when they need it most. And if what you just heard brought you some light, some hope, or just a stronger feeling that it's time to stay awake, please like, share, and subscribe so we can keep watching the signs together, understanding the Bible better, and getting our hearts ready for what's coming. Every little thing you do helps spread the truth, wakes up one more person, and keeps the fire of staying alert burning bright.
Or likely driving back from families over the Thanksgiving holiday, or at the very least considering
in the clouds. Of course, we can't verify if the video is real or not, but we have seen
in parts of Southwest Washington. Of course, that now has expired, so we are no longer under any.
Of the 12 anomalies, which one stands out to you the most, is the most compelling that this could be extraterrestrial?
Have you ever wondered if the world we're living in is getting close to some huge change, like the big things the Bible talked about thousands of years ago? That question doesn't feel far off anymore. It's creeping into everything we see: the news, strange stuff in the sky, weird things happening deep in the ground. Because the Bible, from Matthew 24 and Luke 21 all the way to Revelation, says the last days won't be the world blowing up in one big bang. It'll be a bunch of signs all coming together: wars, natural disasters, the universe shaking, lights and signals in the sky that nobody can fully explain. This year, 2025, especially right after Thanksgiving here in the States, a string of really odd things started showing up one after another. Mysterious shapes just hanging in the sky, swirling lights that look like doors opening out of nowhere, sounds coming from who knows where, and strange movements way down in the earth. It's enough to give a lot of folks chills and make them ask, could this be that whole creation groaning that Romans 8:22 talks about? Or is it just a bunch of weird coincidences in a crazy time? In this piece, we're going to walk through 7 signs that all happened in the same short stretch of time. Things that'll make even the biggest skeptics stop and think twice. So don't skip a single one, okay? Time might be running shorter than we think. Every one of these signs carries a message. Let's look at all 7 together and see if they really are warnings from above or just random chance. You ready? 1. Strange black pillars spinning in the sky. The first sign showed up right after Thanksgiving in 2025. Dozens of folks living along the coast, from California all the way up to Seattle, saw the exact same unbelievable thing at the same time. Tall, black, rectangular pillars hanging in the sky. They stood straight up like invisible towers, spinning perfectly, silent and cold. No heat signature, no blip on radar, nothing. They stayed a few minutes, then just vanished. What they left behind was a lot of screaming, millions of shares on social media, and one big question everybody was asking: what in the world are we looking at? A bunch of people right away thought of the pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night that led the Israelites out of Egypt. Exodus 13:21 says, The Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud during the day and a pillar of fire at night. That wasn't just a guide. It was also a warning. God stepping in. But this time, instead of light, we got pitch-black pillars. It felt like a picture of darkness spreading, or maybe a reminder of the spiritual blindness Isaiah talked about. Isaiah 5:30 says, "Darkness and gloom will cover the land." Could these spinning black pillars be a sign that the gloom is getting close? Of course, science jumped in pretty quick. Some experts said they might be a rare kind of light pillar turned inside out. Usually you get bright pillars when ice crystals in the air reflect city lights upward. Those have popped up in Alaska and Ohio earlier in 2025 and scared folks into thinking UFOs were landing. Back in March 2025, Seattle had that big black ring in the sky that turned out to be smoke from a transformer explosion or maybe a drone show. Then in August 2025, Antarctica reported perfect round, dark voids caused by swirling clouds. No solid objects, no UFOs on radar, just optical tricks or weird weather. Still, what gave millions of people the chills wasn't just how they looked, it was when they showed up. Why did all these strange things start happening at the same exact time, late 2025? And why did they line up with a bunch of other signs that came right after? When science says, "Nothing to see here," faith asks, is it really just coincidence? Or are we getting close to what Luke 21:25 talked about? Signs in the sun, moon, and stars. Whether you trust science or the Bible or both, the truth is, those spinning black pillars made the whole world stop, look up, and wonder. There isn't much time left to shrug this stuff off. This was only the first sign. What came next was a lot scarier. Keep reading. Every sign might be a warning we've ignored for way too long. 2. Glowing spiral in the clouds. The second sign showed up like a bright slash across the night sky, leaving thousands of folks across the southern states, from Texas and Louisiana all the way to Alabama, standing there with their mouths open. Late fall 2025, through thick clouds, a perfect glowing spiral appeared out of nowhere. Right in the middle was a bright spot pulsing a little, like the slow breath of something huge. The strangest part? It just hung there, didn't drift, didn't fade, like somebody cracked open a mysterious door up in the sky and let us peek inside for a few short minutes. That sight woke up Bible memories right away. In the book of Ezekiel, the prophet saw something a lot like a glowing whirlwind in his vision from the Lord. Ezekiel 1:4. I looked, and behold, a whirlwind was coming out of the north, a great cloud with raging fire. It wasn't just a storm or some weather thing. It was a sign. God was about to reveal something big, a warning. At the same time, that still spiral up in the sky reminded a lot of people of John's vision on the island of Patmos. Revelation 4:1. Behold, a door standing open in heaven. When a blazing spiral shows up right in the middle of all the trouble the world's going through, how can you not get chills and wonder if we're actually looking at a real door to heaven? Science, of course, had a calm explanation ready. Between August and November 2025, Europe launched several Ariane 6 rockets from French Guiana. When those rockets dump extra fuel way up high, hundreds of miles up, the fuel spreads out into thin spirals that catch the sunlight or moonlight and glow like crazy, perfect, bright, and jaw-dropping. The same thing has been seen before in Connecticut, Maine, New Hampshire, and Pennsylvania. According to Live Science, BBC, and CT Insider, it's just an atmospheric light show that happens when the light, altitude, and temperature line up just right. Still, even with the science laid out plain and simple, the almost supernatural beauty of that spiral left millions breathless. It wasn't just pretty, it showed up at exactly the right moment. With so many other signs popping up in the sky and on the ground all at once, a glowing door in the clouds made people ask, could this be part of what Jesus talked about? The sign of the Son of Man in heaven? Matthew 24:30. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven. Science can explain how it happened, but it can't explain the feeling. The feeling that the universe is trying to tell us something. The feeling that we're just little creatures standing under a giant door someone is slowly pushing open. And if this is only the second sign, we'd better get our hearts ready for whatever comes next. 3.